8 after 10 o'clock, welcome to the second hour of the show. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be in conversation with historian and really somebody who's a custodian of Bapedi culture, Dr. Tlou Situmu. And we'll be speaking to him about, his latest innovation, and that is really a museum that they're building out in Limpopo. We'll find out more from him about what makes this particular project so special. I said earlier that it's being described as an open air museum, and he'll tell us exactly what that means. Before we get to it, in the open line, we received a call from Ronald in the Northern Cape, who complained about the education department in the Northern Cape having an event which they described as a thank you event to thank parents for taking their children to school. There were food parcels that were promised to those that attended, but these food parcels, the moral of the story, nobody walked away with food parcels, but he says instead what happened is that food parcels were distributed to members of the community that are known to be supporters of the ANC. I have another message here on our WhatsApp line who says that they want to remain anonymous, but they say what Ronald is saying is true. Just want to read it. I am in Kimberley, says Cathy. You guys need to come and investigate these things undercover and expose these corrupt people. That's a message from somebody who's out in Kimberley and agrees with what Ronald has said. Well, Jeffrey van der Merwe is the spokesperson for the MEC of Education in the Northern Cape. Jeffrey, good morning to you. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to all the listeners, and thank you for affording us the opportunity to respond and put things in perspective with regard to the wild accusations and aspersion casted on the MEC as well as the department.
All right. So you've called in because you want to respond to what Ronald has said.
Exactly.
And Ronald, of course, has said he's also opened a case with the police so that what he is accusing the department of can be investigated. The corruption and fraud allegations he's making, that those can officially be investigated. So, Jeffrey, tell us about this event. What was the purpose of this event? Why did the MEC hold it?
Okay, thank you, Cathy. We are fully aware of the case that's been opened by the police, and us as the department, we are ready and we are willing to cooperate with the investigation thereof. We have all our documents on record, so we are more than ready to cooperate with the investigation. First of all, let me indicate to you where these programs are initiated. This is the third year that these programs are running. And you know that it is Christmas. It's also the start of the school holiday break. The events are two-folded. The events are called the Christmas Lunch with Elderly. So once we start with the planning of these events, there's two very important stakeholders that we engage. One is the municipality. Second is the police. Because the police need to provide protection in terms of making sure that the event complies with all the safety and security regulations. And the municipality, we engage with the municipality because these events are made for people 60 and 70 years and older. So it's a Christmas lunch with elderly. So what we have done
a Christmas lunch with the elderly by the Education MEC.
Yes. Now let me explain to you why. The events are two-folded. One, we have launched, as a provincial government, we have launched a Love Your School campaign. Now this campaign is aimed, remember I told you earlier that this is happening while the school break is about to start. We are struggling with a problem in the Northern Cape where schools are being vandalized and broken into during school holidays. Let me just give this to you in terms of statistics. During the COVID-19 lockdown, we had more than 100 schools that were vandalized in the Northern Cape. That statistics are still continuing in the Northern Cape. This is for the first year that we have started now to appoint school safety volunteers. So these Christmas lunches are meant to strengthen our relationship with school communities. The elderly being our role model in community. Second of all is to thank the elderly for the role that they are playing in communities, providing support and advice to learners. But thirdly, MEC encouraged the elderly to make sure that all children of school-going age, Cathy, are attending school. Children of school compulsory going age. That is the role. We are saying it takes a village to raise a child. And that is what this was all about. The event was all about. All matters relating to the event was above board. Nothing that the Ronald has indicated. He was the person that was disruptive. He demobilized elderly not to come to the event. He was the one that was disruptive in the community hall where the event was held. He was also the only person that was dressed in party regalia of his political party that he supports. So as we approach the 2024 elections, we must also prevent political parties from hijacking government events. There was other councillors of the municipalities that was also present. Yes, Cathy?
Jeffrey. So all of you sat in the department, you all sat down and you all agreed to this. You all decided that this was a good idea.
Yes.
How much did you spend on it?
The total cost I don't have now with me, but I can dig in.
No, but you said that you had all the documents ready. You're ready for the case.
I want to indicate you, Cathy,
Jeffrey,
the number of beneficiaries we had in attendance at the event.
With all due respect,
yes,
right? If you want to acknowledge elders in society, by all means do that. But how you have justified it and how the role of the education department fits into all of this, for me, it doesn't make sense. It sounds like you're reaching, Jeffrey.
It sounds like?
You're reaching.
For what?
To try and make sense of something that just does not make sense.
It was advertised. Why would we go and do something if it was not advertised on our social media pages?
I'm not disputing the fact that it was advertised, but what I'm saying is it does not make sense why the Department of Education has embarked on this program. How, if the justification for it is as you've described on air this morning, it doesn't make sense to me. That's why I'm asking that you all sat down as a department and you all agreed that this was a good idea and a good initiative for the Department of Education.
Kathy, that is your view.
Yes.
Our school communities, which includes the elderly, are a very important stakeholder.
why did they not get their food parcels in the end?
But you see, you don't listen. I'm sharing with you what happened. Remember, these are people. We had 250 beneficiaries attending the event. These are elderly people that is 60 years and 70
How
years
did
older.
you identify the beneficiaries?
But that's why I say that's where the municipality comes in, Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, all of them received their food parcels according to the list that we got from the municipality. The 15 food parcels that Ronald is referring to was just for the symbolic handing over. We can share with you the pictures that we only called to the 4 or 5 people for some symbolic handing over. The rest of the food parcels, we had 5 departmental vehicles there that include minibuses and 22-seater vans where these food parcels were delivered. So as people left the hall, they left in the minibuses with their food parcels. They were picked up
is this not the role of the Social Development Department, Jeffrey?
No. It is a societal matter, Kathy, and school communities are important stakeholder of the department.
So what was the criteria that the municipality used to
Only
decide?
60, 17 years and older.
So, no, but it should have been something else, because I imagine that you don't just have 250 people that meet that criteria in your municipality.
That's the criteria that we stated, and that's the list that we got from the municipality.
Yes, but there must have been something else. Or do you believe that you only have 250 individuals that are over the ages of 60 in your community?
Look, this is not a big community, Cathy. That I must also state. Huh? So the towns that we go to that we identify for these type of events, it is small rural areas where service delivery is not so good, where there's high levels of unemployment.
Yes,
Where
but you've satisfied yourself that this number has covered all the elderly people in the area.
It's not all, but the bulk of them.
That above 60.
Yes. Not all, but the bulk of them.
Look, Jeffrey, like I said to Ronald, we're going to just need details of this program from yourself. So I'm glad you've gotten in touch, because it'll be easier for you to send us the necessary documentation so that we can have a look at what you've done, and then we'll take it from there, okay?
Thank you very much, Cathy, for allowing us the opportunity to respond.
All right. Jeffrey van der Merwe, spokesperson for the MEC for Education in the Northern Cape. We'll take a quick break. I'm back with our 10 o'clock after this.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
All right, we're joined now by Dr. Cathy Mohlahlana, who is a historian, researcher, and author. And of course, he is a distinguished historian and academic, and has devoted a significant part of his career to really making sure that he is a custodian of the Bapedi culture. Dr. Situmo, good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much, Cathy. Good morning, and thank you for inviting me on your beautiful show on this huge national radio station of award-winning presenters.
I must say that, firstly, let me apologize for beginning the interview later than we had scheduled. I just needed to, of course, take the last conversation that we had that came out of the open line. Let me begin just by getting you to explain to myself and our listeners, part of the reason why you are receiving all of this attention, at least in this moment, is on your latest project, which is an open-air museum, or at least that's how it's been described, that you're currently working on in Limpopo. Tell us a bit more about that project.
Thank you so much, Cathy, again. Let's start with a museum. A museum, of course, it's one way of preserving heritage in general, because heritage is broad. You have got your music, your histories. So if heritage is such broad, you are going to end up with having various and different ways of preserving heritage. So a museum is another way of preserving heritage, because you would be preserving stories and artifacts in a museum. So in a museum, each and every museum has got its own theme. Because you would have a museum that can house a particular story, or a museum that can house a particular history, etc. When it comes to this one of Setlaule Open Air Museum, it's located in the Setlaule area, in the Mahabeng area, within the Blowback municipality in Limpopo province. So the concept of Setlaole Open Air Museum is that it is a rebuilding of an old village, an old settlement on the foot of a small mountain called Setlaole. So if you rebuild an old village or an old settlement like that, you are going to excavate and see where the old boundaries of the village are, where the rock boundaries of the village are, where the old huts were built. You know, the huts which were built with stones, and some of them were built with grass, etc., thatched roofed huts. And then you are going to have the where the cattle crawls were the original ones. So all those aspects, you rebuild them. You rebuild the old village using the old material like rocks and grass, etc., etc. Then you have got your open air museum.
In this area that you have identified, the Setlaole area, what is there currently?
Come again?
So what is in the area currently? When you then attempt to rebuild this village, how much of the work will be starting from scratch? How much will rely on existing buildings, existing huts that are there?
Okay. I understand your question, Kathy, to mean that exactly what is there, what is... actually, this area has got a history of having been occupied by communities of the Bakoni in the area. Unfortunately, as we know the history of South Africa, these people were forcefully removed. I think it was around the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. So the place, what is there? You only have the ruins now. You only have the graves there. So that's why rebuilding the old village itself is part of reviving and preserving the stories of those people who had been removed from that foot of the mountain settlement called Setlaole.
Again, when you attempt to rebuild the village, what is it exactly that you are wanting to achieve in that process?
Thank you very much. A good question, Kathy, again. Remember, we are preserving heritage. In this case, when you rebuild an old settlement into a museum, you are actually reviving the story. You are preserving that old story of those people, because now you are going to say, in your research, you research the stories of those people to say, these people who lived here, they lived like this. They had this part of their dwelling as a kraal. They used the kraal to do this and that and that and that, to house their animals. They had this part of the part of their dwelling as the old horror, where the old men would sit down and discuss the community issues. You had this part of the village as a cemetery, where the old village people used to bury them. So you are actually reviving the whole story. Remember, this is preservation of your stories, preservation of your histories. The descendants of the people, those people who used to live there, now they can relate to their stories, they can relate to their history, they can relate to where they are coming from, their original, where they originated actually. That is that is basically about heritage preservation. It's about preserving our past.
Sure, it's quite a brave project, Dr. Situmu, because I'm looking at the concept note now, and there are pictures of the area, and all you see right now in that area is just bushes. And so effectively, when you try and excavate some of the foundations, maybe even the graves, it's going to take a lot of work, because you have to first begin by clearing out that entire bush, so that you begin to go a little bit beneath the surface to see what that might reveal.
Unfortunately, no matter how difficult the job is, it needs to be done, because I can give you one aspect of the project is that when you have, for instance, when you trace the history of a people in areas like that, you also have the aspect of graves. So in other people's cultures, in our culture, if graves are very significant in connecting the people who departed and the people who are still alive. So I get your point. So if now we don't get to that dirty work of clearing the bushes where the graves of our ancestors were, it means if we don't do that, effectively what it means is that we are permanently going to be separated from the graves of those ancestors. So spiritually now you are now detached. So the significance, one of the most other significant aspects of that project is that you need to revive the history of the place, and then also get to the spiritual part of it by getting to the graves.
All right.
And then
all right, Dr. Situmu, I'm going to give you a moment to continue after we take the latest news headlines. We're in conversation with Dr. Situmu. He's telling us more about the open air museum that they're currently constructing out in Sitlaule. It's a village in Limpopo province. Let's take your latest headlines. We're back with him after this.
And in the headlines, a situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where the National Union of Mine Workers says over 350 mine workers have remained underground. The union, however, says they cannot confirm if this is a sit-in or a hostage situation. In other news, political analyst Dr. Ibrahim Harvey says Mavuso Msimang's resignation from the governing party comes as no surprise. The former ANC Veterans League deputy president submitted his resignation from the party earlier this week, citing the party's endemic corruption as the reason. And the 12th Tambo Memorial Hospital staff who died in the Boksburg gas explosion incident last year will be remembered and honored today. More on these and other stories at the top of the hour.
The rand is currently trading at 18 rand 80 to the dollar, 23 rand 62 to the pound, and 20 rand 26 to the euro. Markets in Asia ended mixed. The JSE mainly lower in mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are slightly up this hour. Gold is trading at $2,028. Platinum $913 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $75.40 a barrel.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We're in conversation with historian researcher Dr. Situmu about the open air museum that they're currently constructing out in Limpopo province. So, Dr. Situmu, you are having to reconstruct this village based on the foundations that you will find once, excavation processes have been completed. Have you started with the excavations already?
No, not yet. The actual construction on site is not yet underway. What we have done, we have just launched the concept, and then we have only started operating from an information center.
Mm.
So the issue of preserving heritage through a museum is just one part of an example of how you can preserve heritage, because you have got other ways and other means in which you can preserve heritage, which is very beneficial to societies and communities, because you preserve your past, which inculcate the pride in our past history, and then which is also educational, because it teaches people about their previous histories. And also it is heritage preservation is also important in economic terms, because if you have got that kind of a museum up and running, you would potentially have tourists who would come via the area and then have a look at the area. And then the tourists might be local, national, or international tourists. What I'm trying to get to is that heritage preservation is not only about just preserving for the sake of preserving, for you to excavate and then have something, but you look at the other benefits like educational and also economic in terms of tourism.
How much are you having to rely on the knowledge that is being shared by members of the community? And you said, I think the last time that this place had been occupied was sort of in the early 1900s. So quite a bit of time has passed since then. Do you find people in the community who perhaps lived at the foot of this mountain, or, who have direct family members that lived at the foot of this mountain who still go to those graves?
Yes. The people who were forcefully removed from that area when those farms were sold by the previous governments, they live about 10, 20 kilometers to the south in a small village called Noma A. Some people call it Butlapamunwana. So the descendants of those people who were removed from those graves, they are there. And then we still, when you do this kind, the project of this magnitude, obviously you cannot just start it, you research. You have to go to your archives to research about the history of the area. And then now, the aspect you are asking about, which is oral history aspect of the project, is when now you interview the people who are connected to the site. Yes, the answer is yes. We have got those people whose descendants were moved from there, and then some of them occasionally do go and pay their respects to those graves. So they just go there, some of them go, but unfortunately, some of them, because of the bushes you were referring to, some of them, they are unable to locate their graves because now you have got thick bushes. So the idea behind the museum would also, one aspect would be to get those graves that might have been covered by the bushes, because when you are clearing and establishing the museum, you are now carefully, when you get the grave site, then you protect it, because it's a sacred place like a grave.
Dr. Situmo, we'll continue with our conversation in a moment. I wonder what you make of this idea, right, to reconstruct a community or an entire village's way of living, their way of doing things, reconstruct their houses, all in the name of preservation of history, preservation of heritage. Is it a worthwhile exercise? I'm just thinking of, if we were to take into account just how big South Africa is, what then do we draw out of a process like what Dr. Situmo and his colleagues are trying to do? Is that knowledge better preserved just in books and having it available in books? Or is it in fact a worthwhile exercise to go and rebuild these houses, use the materials that they used, use the kind of structures that they used so that future generations can see how much life has evolved. They can see where society has come from in all its different facets. So it's a fascinating idea. It's going to require a lot of work, seemingly, because as he's mentioned before, all there is in that area is just bush right now. And so they're going to have to be building from scratch. And I imagine that communities in the area are going to have to be very involved in that process too. So I'll get your thoughts on it on 086 2032. I'd love to hear what you make of an initiative of this nature. And I'll take your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Get ready for an adventure of a lifetime with SABC TV Licenses Ultimate Competition. Feel the pulse-pounding excitement of a Bundesliga match live on an all-expenses-paid journey you'll never forget. Or embrace the rhythm of your dreams at the Coachella Music Festival. The choice is yours. A football fan's paradise or a music lover's haven. Simply pay your TV license, then head to www.winnerholidaywithsabctvlicenses.co.za for a chance to win big. And don't forget, there are incredible weekly prizes up for grabs too. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
It's the celebration of the century, and you're invited. We've already given away almost 3 million rand with 56 daily vouchers won. Buy a new Ford before 31 December, and you could win a 50,000 rand voucher or the grand prize of us paying for your new Ford. Visit your nearest Ford dealer today. TNCs apply.
The massive evening to walk on the purple carpet has arrived. The queens of the beautiful game, coaches and administrators are recognized for their excellence on and off the pitch. Celebrating the sheroes of football. Experience the Hollywood Bet Super League Awards this Saturday, 9 December at 8 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga.
It's been a long journey.
It's been
A
it's been a beautiful I'd say 20 years.
Yeah.
This is excluding years of study and lecturing.
Yeah.
Full of ups and downs, full of drama, full of front page headlining for the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
We've actually survived the industry. Someone said, you work in a very ruthless, a very horrible industry. No, it's not. The industry is amazing.
Yeah.
It's the people.
David Lally, fashion designer and entrepreneur.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga. Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We continue the conversation on the Talking Point. Dr. Tlou is still on the line. We're talking about the Open Air Museum, which is a concept that includes the reconstruction of an entire village in Sitlwane at the foot of a mountain in that area, and effectively in the preservation of history and heritage. Dr. Situmo, before I go to the phone lines, I want to check from you. The materials that you are looking to use for this project, how true are you going to want to stick to the original materials that would have been used by those that were part of this village? We're talking now close to a century that this village would have been last built.
No, Cathy, I just want us to correct something here. We don't want to scare people that we are going to rebuild and reconstruct the entire village where people were staying. We are talking about a museum here. A museum is a microcosm, is a sample, which means you can only take, for instance, where the Mohlahlana household was living. So you have got, you rebuild, say for instance, they stayed in 3 or 4 huts. That is what you rebuild. Then they had the horror, they have got the what. You don't rebuild the entire village and get the people to come back and stay in that, because you know life has moved on, and then this is only a museum to help people to 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 learn about their past. It's not that people are going to, it's not that we are going to reconstruct the entire village and then force people to go back and live in those places. It's just a microcosm of, say, for instance, one household which can be reconstructed into a museum. I think that must be very clear. And then coming to the issue of material, I think most of the material there is the rocks. The rocks, which the place is a mountainous area. You have got plentiful of the rocks. You just put the rocks on top of one another. Then you have got the grass. In most cases, people still use grass to thatch their houses. So in the project will almost require the materials I have just mentioned. It's not that we are going to go all out and then tamper with the environment and then destroy the environment, whereas we know there is a correlation between heritage preservation and environmental conservation. We are mindful of that very much.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that clarity. I think it was an important one. It was an important one. Let me go to Sekhukhune. Tate Billy Masha, good morning.
Very good morning, Sister.
Yes.
Good, man. The doctor there is talking of good things that we need in this country. But I would like to check with him, firstly, the naming. I'm told that you are talking of the baby. No? Is it? Hello?
That he's speaking for what, Billy?
You are talking of the babies, but baby.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that is a problem, because he is saying people who are staying there were, he said, Bagoni. Now, he must make a distinction between the two, because if those people who stay there are Bagoni, they are not necessarily referred to as Bapedi. It creates a confusion. You see, the Pedi is a general or a generic naming of the communities this side who speak generally social-related languages. But like here, just around Polokwane, there's a museum called Bakoni Malapa. You see, it's an open museum. I think if he's trying to do something like that, he needs to be clear. Those people who have stayed there must have their correct identity. They are the Bakoni and not generally the Pedis. The other thing he talked about, that the people who were forcibly removed, that means they are beneficiaries of that particular area. I want to know their role. What role will they play there in terms of investment? And also the legality. What is the legal status of the land now as we speak? Has the land been restituted, or is it a way of doing things without the consent of the beneficiary? Because that's what happens normally. People will go and get investments and develop something without the knowledge of the same people who are actually there. Because he's talking of the graves there. Those are very important things to our culture. And if we are not connected to those graves, and it's going to tamper with the graves of some people there, we'll have a problem. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that, Billy Masha. I think very important questions. Dr. Situmo?
Hello.
Yes.
Firstly, let me just say that I did not introduce myself as representing the Bapedi. I only got it from the intro because I don't want to get into that debate of Bapedi, Northern Sotho. It's a huge debate on its own, Kathy. It wants an hour on its own. So that one, let's park it there, because unless if you want us to exhaust the last minutes of this show on that, which I'm saying is a huge debate on itself, whether people they are Bapedi or Bakodi or the Northern Sothos. Secondly, you have just asked about the descendants of the people who originated, whose graves are there at Sitaule. And I said, those people are still there, the descendants are still there. We work with them, and then we interviewed them. And then as we speak now, the information center of the museum itself is on that village, the existing village. So what is underway now is the actual future construction of the museum, where they have originated, where their graves are.
Okay. And
yes.
and in terms of the land.
Sorry.
In terms of the land, because he had asked about whether that land had been restituted. Yes, and what the status then of that land would be as this project takes place.
Okay. The land where this museum is being earmarked for, where the people of Botlhapamonwana or Noma A have been removed, is currently occupied or is currently being bought by the people of Noma B. You have got Noma A, you have got Noma B. So the museum earmarked is on the Setaule area, and then there is the discussion among the communities who currently have bought the farm in the 1940s, where this other group of Noma A people have been removed from.
All right. And what would you say have been some of the challenges that you have experienced out of wanting to do a project like this? And I think mostly just from the knowledge production aspect of it is what I would be interested in.
You are right. The project is mostly about knowledge production, because you see, the greatest problem in this country was that when those who were in power before, the white minority governments, when they came in and then they started to write their own history, much of the history of the black communities in this country was almost erased. So that is why this current generation of people, of historians and researchers, the main focus would be to go out and trace the roots. The challenge is that you are going to reconstruct from something that had been almost, as you have indicated, centuries old information that you are going to scratch and struggle to get. So, but this is a national challenge in which the people who are in charge now, if we say black people are in charge, one of the challenge is that they have to go back and scratch and look for what has been hidden from them for a very long time by those who were in power then, those people who were writing their own history, giving the impression that the history of South Africa started with the arrival of Jan van Riebeeck in 1652. Black people were given the impression that they did not have their history. That's why now we are scrambling to scratch and go and clear the bushes to go and find our own histories.
Yeah, it's a very important point that you're making there. I'm going to take a break and then I'm back with Dr. Situmo and more of your reflections and contributions to this conversation.
Get ready for an adventure of a lifetime with SABC TV Licenses Ultimate Competition. Feel the pulse-pounding excitement of a Bundesliga match live on an all-expenses-paid journey you'll never forget. Or embrace the rhythm of your dreams at the Coachella Music Festival. The choice is yours. A football fan's paradise or a music lover's haven. Simply pay your TV license, then head to www.winnerholidaywithsabctvlicenses.co.za for a chance to win big. And don't forget, there are incredible weekly prizes up for grabs too. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
Akwele.
Akwele.
Akweli.
Akwela.
Akwele.
Akwili.
Akwele.
Akwela. No matter how you say it, one thing's for sure, Aquele has been your trusted natural spring water and delicious flavored sparkling drink for 25 years. Celebrating 25 years of refreshment and joy. Thank you, Mzansi, for your support and making us your favorite water brand. Aquele, spreading joy for 25 years.
Mamelodi Sundowns and Egyptian outfit Pyramids FC have collected maximum points in their Group A opening matches. They now tackle each other in search of victory. Masandawana want to ensure their visitors walk away without any joy, but Pyramids FC are confident they will upset the 2016 champs. This is the CAF Champions League. Roerkop battles it out with East Cairo. Experience the African flavor of the beautiful game. Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Pyramids FC on Sunday 10 December at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Cathy Mohlahlana on SAFM.
Hi, Cathy. Thank you for this. I think this project is incredibly important because, you know, so many people as self-respect, self-esteem, pride has been wounded by past regimes. Also, because libraries have gone down the drain and literacy culture is not encouraged, people really need the tactile visual experience of something like this. And I'm sure the doctor has tried to rope in some of the archaeological departments of some universities to help. I think this is fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you, Cathy.
All
Bye.
right. Thanks for that WhatsApp voice note there. Dr. Situmo, are you going to be working with your fellow academics from different faculties in making this a reality?
Yes, we have made this information available to various academic institutions and other stakeholders so that this can be a reality. And then I want to agree with the last caller on the voice note because, you know, if we cannot multiply our efforts on these efforts like museums, libraries, you know, I can tell you, Cathy, if this museum succeeds, it will be the first one in the whole Blowback municipality. There is no other museum in the whole municipality. But I don't know how many taverns are there in the whole municipalities. So if we have got this kind of projects where we are going to have young people focusing on learning from museums and libraries, we would be subtracting the number of our kids going to the taverns. You know, I cannot tell you, you know exactly what happens in the taverns and the consequences. What I'm trying to say, the stakeholders, yes, we are engaging some academic institutions and other stakeholders so that we can make this thing as a reality.
All right. Let me try and squeeze in Kirsten Foster, who's just called in. Kirsten, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good to hear. I just wanted to add my 2 cents as somebody who is passionate about history and has a degree in history. Obviously, there's been some conversation on your call with regards to who created the academia around that. And I think what's quite interesting to note is that, history is always changing. So, for instance, we were told that, Bantu migrations happened from the north at the same time that white people arrived in the south at Cape Town, etc. And then suddenly we have findings in things like the Kruger National Park, which date far further back than what history has taught us, or what I was taught at university. And so I think just the message that I agree with a lot of the people speaking on your show that what has been taught comes from potentially an archaic perspective, and that we need to consistently consider that history can change and not be upset to change it. That's the beauty of history, and understanding it and learning from it. So that was just my comments on that.
All right, Kirsten. Thanks for calling in. And you find it a project such as this one then quite fascinating.
Incredibly fascinating.
Yeah. All right, Kirsten. Thanks for calling in. Dr. Situmo, final word from you then.
My final word would be that I agree with your last caller that let's consistently bring this to the platforms like yours, Cathy, because you are listened to by so many people. Let us consistently bring this kind of conversations in which we are trying to get people to learning, because learning is lifelong. That is very important. And then thank you for having us to just scratch the surface, because we have just scratched the surface. There is still a lot to talk about.
All right, Dr. Situmo, thank you so much for coming onto the show and giving us a bit more about this project you'll be involved in. I hope that once you have completed the project, it's up and running, we will be among the first to get an invite to come and see what it is you've been able to do.
Yes.
All right, Dr. Situmo, thank you so much. That's where we leave it then with that particular conversation. It is 11 o'clock. On the other side of this is the Friday wind down.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Top stories this hour: another possible sit-in at Gold One mine and new criminal charges against Joe Biden's son. Good morning. A situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where the National Union of Mine Workers says over 350 mine workers have remained underground. The union, however, says they cannot confirm if this is a sit-in or a hostage situation. In October, about 500 workers remained underground for days, with conflicting reports from NUM claiming that its rival union AMCU has taken its members hostage. However, AMCU insisted that this was a sit-in over workers' demands. Leboane Mamburu is the NUM's national spokesperson.
The NUM can confirm that there is a situation that is currently unfolding at Gold One that involves more than 350 mine workers underground. So we don't know if it is a sit-in or a hostage that is happening. That started there last night during the night shift. But we are also reliably informed that two mine workers managed to escape last night.
Meanwhile, employees of the Bakubung Platinum Mine in the northwest say their colleagues who are currently staging a sit-in protest will remain underground until their demands are met. More than 200 mine workers embarked on the sit-in on Wednesday. 24 of them have since resurfaced. The workers' demands include a wage increase and an end to the planned retrenchment of 500 workers. Trade Union NUM will meet with mine management today to try and resolve the impasse. This miner has opted to remain anonymous for fear of reprisal.
That is the intention to sitting for as long as our demands has not yet been met. So, but then the management are still busy there by the boardroom. Then we'll see what are the agreement that has been signed. It's not questionable whether this sitting will continue or what. But intention is that it must be a sitting until all our demands has been met.
Political analyst Dr. Ibrahim Harvey says Mavuso Msimang's resignation from the governing party comes as no surprise. The former ANC Veterans League deputy president submitted his resignation from the party earlier this week, citing the party's endemic corruption as the reason. Harvey says this is a very significant move.
I think that analysts will play it down, will say he's, 82 years old, etc. They're misunderstanding this a very serious context within which this resignation has occurred 6-7 months before the elections, and I'm almost certain that it is bound to have a negative impact on the ANC. But I'm not surprised. He's been calling these shots bravely for over a decade now.
The 12 Tambo Memorial Hospital staff who died in the Boksburg gas explosion incident last year will be remembered and honored today. The 11 nurses and a driver were among the 41 people killed when a tanker carrying LP gas exploded on Christmas Eve last year after it got stuck under a low-lying bridge near the hospital. Scores of others were injured in the incident. The 32-year-old driver of the gas tanker was arrested and charged with culpable homicide, but he was subsequently released and the case dropped due to insufficient evidence. The Gauteng Health Department spokesperson Mutalatale Mudiba.
The MEC for Health and Wellness, Nomantunko Moralohoko, will be unveiling a wall of remembrance to honor the particular workers as a solemn tribute to these selfless public servants who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty.
And federal prosecutors in the U.S. have filed new criminal charges against President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. The indictment alleges that he took part in a scheme to avoid paying nearly $1.5 million in tax. His lawyer disputes the charge. Hunter Biden was indicted in September on federal firearm charges in Delaware. The 53-year-old son of President Biden has already pleaded not guilty in the gun case. The BBC's David Willis has more.
According to a press release from the U.S. Justice Department, that instead of paying his taxes, Hunter Biden spent millions of dollars on what the department calls an extravagant lifestyle. Hence, these new charges all relate to tax matters, including 4 failure to pay charges, 2 charges of filing a false tax return, 1 charge of tax evasion, 2 other charges of failing to file his tax returns. Now, if convicted, this press release goes on to say Hunter Biden could face a maximum of 17 years in jail.
And recapping our top story this hour, a situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where the National Union of Mine Workers say over 350 mine workers have remained underground. The union, however, says they cannot confirm if this is a sit-in or a hostage situation. Headlines at the bottom of the hour with Eva Chipa. For SFM News, I am Nomalizo Mandela.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
Get your payments done with the utmost security and convenience when you purchase a TV license now. With our new secure payment systems with a one-time PIN, OTP feature, and the choice of receiving your OTP via SMS or email, you can ensure prompt and secure payments. The additional use of capture will protect you against spam and automated data attractions. With TV licenses, you can enjoy watching all your favorite shows or movies that matter to you. Get yours today. Visit www.tvlic.co.za.
Various African outfits will display a great brand of cricket this festive season. Kenya, Ghana, and Cameroon will play their hearts out in the East-West qualifier of the BNP Group Africa Cup T20 2023. They will all endeavor to clinch one of 4 remaining spots. This is the journey to the finals of the BNP Group Africa Cup T20 2023. Witness the thrilling action from 5 to 10 December, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
You're going to be learning a lot more about the musician that is behind that particular piece of music art. Ayafezeka is the name. Keke Maketa is in studio with us. He's our Friday wind down musician. Keke, good morning. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, Cathy. Thank you for the opportunity, and let me greet the listeners back at home.
It's such a pleasure to have you in studio. And, you know, when the song came on, I just thought, now I just want to put my feet up,
Yes.
listen to more music. Such a chilled vibe. How would you describe the kind of artist that you are, the music you're putting together?
Well, I'm a dance music artist. Well, when it comes to how I write my songs, I write about love, I write about what is happening around us, and in terms of emotions, yes, and around in terms of socially. Yeah, that is Keke Mohlahlana, and Keke Mohlahlana is a young boy from Elwell North in Malzwai, Eastern Cape. Yes, and he has been doing music for as long as I can remember, like since high school.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been doing music. I've been participating in school choirs, auditions, and yeah. Yes.
Speaking about your early life, can you remember the point at which, you realized, or maybe somebody else around you realized that you've got even an inkling of talent musically? I know that there's a lot less pressure when we're younger, but it's always the people who the adults can hear, no, this one, he can hold a note. All of you think you're holding the note, but this one is definitely doing a better job than the rest of you. Did you remember what that moment was?
Yes, I remember vividly. I remember my father was actually my parents. They were like, we were singing at home, and they were singing, and I also took part in that. And they were like, no, don't sing this key, because he actually heard that, no, there's something about this boy. Yes, and at some point he wanted to take me to a music school. It's called Lady Grey Arts Academy, but I was still young then, and he was like, no, my boy cannot go and stay at the hostel. He is still young and without parents' guidance and stuff. Yes, so my parents actually realized the talent, the gift in me at a very young age, and they were there for me and to support me.
Are they also quite musical? Because if you guys were singing just while cooking dinner, that means that there must be a lot of music around the home.
My parents are musical, and my father, my late father, he was musical. He's from a musical family, and he was part of the family band that was called Happy Landers, that was established by my grandfather. So he used to take me to their rehearsals, and I was also inspired by the sounds, the drums, the keyboards, the trumpets, the saxophones, and I was like, wow. And and sometimes I would cry, and I didn't understand why I would cry, and only to find out later on that I'll be actually doing music professionally.
Wow. So beautiful to see then the heritage of music really that you come from.
Yes.
Now, you describe yourself as a dance music artist. In order to get to that point, have you had to go to a lot of clubs to see what are people dancing to? How did you narrow in to dance? There's so many options. If you started off in a choir,
yes,
it could have gone in any direction.
Exactly. Well, as an artist that started in gospel and suddenly goes for dance music, I've been saying this, or I'm always saying this when I'm having interviews, is that I always wanted to do dance music, or secular music rather, but I didn't have the opportunity because I would actually listen to music on radio or on TV and be like, no, man, I can do something here. My vocals can do something on this track. But I didn't actually know that I can actually do that because remember I was only exposed to the Christian or the gospel space. But now my manager from Divine Rhythm Productions was like, he actually gave me an opportunity and said, can you do something here? He gave me I started in 2020 to do secular music, which is dance. He gave me a beat from Lou Vess, who's my producer and a DJ as well on the current EP that we are promoting. And he was like, Keke, can you do something with this beat? And I said, no, let me take a listen to it and see what I can do. And definitely I did. And the writing was flowing naturally. The writing was flowing naturally. I actually wrote the song the same day. And I finished it the same day. And I said, okay, let me do a video so that you can listen. And does it go together with the beat? And he said, perfect. This is going to work. So it is natural for me, I believe. Yes, I don't have to struggle, but you just have to give me time to work on it.
Why do you think it is that so many musicians actually start out in gospel? I mean, I can't tell you. Since we've had this feature on the show, almost I would put my head on the chopping block here and say about 95% of the artists that we have had on the show speak about how the first sort of music that they had been involved in was gospel music. Why do you think that is?
Well, I believe that our parents, they expose us to church at a very young age. Yes, and if you are gifted musically, obviously that is going to attract you because that is where actually music is practiced at the church most of the time. So you will be attracted to that and you grow with that. But as you grow, you see like, no, I can actually do something else. That is because now remember, once you realize that you're an artist, you want to grow in that space, and you don't just want to do music, but you also incorporate that with business. Yes, there is business in gospel as well, but you see yourself growing, you see yourself taking the career to the next level, of which now. You know that no gospel I can do that, but if you want to take your career to the next level, why not you maybe go for secular spaces?
One of the things I found is that in that journey, many artists also struggle with the guilt of not staying in gospel music and even wanting to branch out in the first place. How did you deal with that? And did part of the process also did it also include having to go back to your parents and explain to them and maybe other family members that I know that I've been rooted in this, but I'm now moving away and everything is going to be okay?
It was a challenging journey for me, indeed. Well, I didn't really have to explain to my family. I didn't really have to explain to my supporters or fans. But there were those who were actually questioning me. You could say, Keke, why are you taking this route now? You've been doing gospel all your life. But I had to tell them that, guys, I am growing. I'm an artist. I am not a genre. And it's not that when I moved out of the gospel, I actually left the gospel. I left the genre and not the gospel. Yes. But for me, it was a beautiful journey, as much as there were hiccups on the way. But it was a beautiful journey for me, indeed.
What made it beautiful?
What made it beautiful is that there was freedom for me. Because in the gospel, for me, it was like you do this because this is what you know. But when I decided and I took a decision that this is what I wanted to do, there was freedom. There was a sense of freedom around me.
We're in conversation with Gege Maketa. He's an Afro House dance music artist. We've already kicked it off with some of the music that he's been putting together. As you heard, they're here to promote his latest EP. We'll continue to be in conversation with him and learn more about his life and how he's gotten to this point in his career as an artist. And of course, the reason why it is the Friday Wind Down will bring you more and more of his music. In fact, we'll do that after this quick break.
So Sharon officing was telling me the way drip is so expensive these days. She's now waiting for her old clothes to come back into fashion. I say, Joza, while you're waiting, why not let your money do the things in a Nedbank Just Invest account where you can get your money after 24 hours notice? Oganchani voiceman.
Injalo, Mabel. Earn up to 9% interest. Anyone can open an investment account via the Money app in under 2 minutes. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's on the interest rates apply.
Eintracht Frankfurt plans to have things their way when they clash with the giants of German football Bayern München. They believe a win is more exciting on home ground, while the Bavarians are gunning for strictly 3 points to settle at the top of the table. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch the superb contest between Eintracht Frankfurt and Bayern München on Saturday 9 December at 3 p.m. live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
Wanna give you beautiful rushes. Let me love you more. Let me show you another dimension. There's so much more. Wanna give you beautiful rushes. Let me love you more. Let me show you another dimension.
Dream lover, I don't wanna dream alone. My dream lover, I don't wanna dream alone. Dream lover, I don't wanna dream alone. Dream lover, I don't wanna dream alone. I don't wanna dream alone. Yeah. My dream lover, I don't wanna dream alone. Let me live in passion. I need direction. Give me love. I need you more.
As you can hear, Gege just had to show off, he just had to show us what he's made of, in case we had doubts about the quality of his voice, in case we had doubts that maybe there was a stunt double. I don't know what they call voice doubles, but a stunt double in this EP. What a beautiful voice. Here's our Friday Wind Down guest, Cathy Mohlahlana. It's 11:30, time for the latest news headlines. We'll continue with him after this.
In your news making headlines, the Deputy President Paul Mashatile says creating an ethical public service with honest professionals would help government in its fight against corruption. He was speaking at the commemoration of the International Day of Anti-Corruption at UNISA in Pretoria. In other news, the situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where the National Union of Mine Workers says over 350 mine workers have remained underground. The union, however, says they cannot confirm if this is a sit-in or a hostage situation. And lastly, the mandate ends today for an East African regional force that was deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo last year. I'll have more on these and other stories at the top of the hour. For SFM News, good morning, I'm Eva Chipa.
The Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
All right, we continue the conversation on The Talking Point. It's the Friday Wind Down, and our guest for this hour is Gege Mohlahlana. So, Gege, you are still a very young person, lots that you're going to be able to do in this industry. I want you to speak to me about some of the experiences, and particularly the challenging experiences of being able to produce music as a young artist, and especially the things that you had been unprepared for, that you didn't anticipate along the journey.
When it comes to music production, it's a very complex space, because now remember, when you do music, you have to be in a certain space mentally, emotionally. And for example, if my producer gives me a beat, because usually when I work on a song, there's a beat, we have a listening session, and okay, which beat is going to work for the project, particularly the one that we're having, Hello. Because now in my mind as an artist, this is the theme or the vision I have for the project. So sometimes you are not in that space mentally. So now and it must also incorporate or work together with the beat. If the beat is happy, you need to be in that space, and of which emotionally at that moment you are not. And remember, it's not about you. As much as you have to express how you feel as an artist through your music, but sometimes it is not what you want to put out there. You don't want to put that emotion at that moment. So there are those challenges that you need to work on your emotions in terms of, all right, the production says be happy in this song. You need to be happy. You have to take time, be in that space. If maybe you want to talk about a story about somebody, you need to be in that space. So emotionally, you must be prepared. All right, that is the production side. Coming to the business side of music, you as an artist, especially as somebody who is an aspiring artist, you must always prove yourself to music promoters that you are capable of doing this. You must prove yourself to television productions and radio productions that I am capable of being in front of your mics and talk to you guys or talk to the listeners out there. Those are the challenges that we are facing as artists. You always have to prove yourself that you are capable, and the platforms that maybe you want to be on, you always have to fight that, no, guys, I can do this.
Do you find that it gets hard to do that on an ongoing basis? Because, proving yourself in an age where we're in studio right now, and I know that we've got a live stream for SAFM and all the shows that we have on the station, but you've got your own team that's here. They're taking pictures, they're taking videos. So whether you like it or not, there will be content that is posted out there about you. And I always think of it in this way, that once you post something, then you are the one that is inviting comment, whether positive or negative. You can't run away from it, right? But you are saying, look, now have a view, have an opinion about what it is that what it is that I have posted. That's why we have likes and no likes and whatever the case might be. So how do you deal with the mental and emotional pressure of that? Because it matters so much more, I think, for somebody who is part of your generation than perhaps if we look at an artist that started their career 30, 40 years ago, where, yes, they can have an account, but the expectations on them are not going to be as high as they are for an artist like you.
Well, you know that one. It's challenging because when you post something on social media, or when you say something on social media, you always expect positive feedbacks from the people, but you are saying you're not always going to get that, and it works on us as artists. Emotionally good. No, man, I was not expecting this response. It is negatively working on us, and sometimes you want to ignore it, but at the back of your mind you'll be like, hey, that comment is not good, and it's actually going to affect my brand somehow. So it is actually challenging because you always want to get positive feedbacks from the people, because when you get positive feedbacks, it actually goes out there and people be like, no, Keke is doing well. You see, Keke is doing well. No, Keke's just posted something about his music, the next gig that he's having. So when if one person, if X is saying something negative, there will be another one who's actually going to compliment on that and be like, yes, exactly. It's like, which is affecting us emotionally. And so it's a bit of a challenge, but you don't have to focus on that. Focus on the purpose of why you posted that, and continue just being happy.
And when people make comparisons, let's say with you and maybe other artists, how do you deal with that?
Comparison, for me, I am not in a competition with anyone. I'm in competition with myself. Yes, and if that artist wins, I clap hands for you, because next time it will be me. And let's say you will clap for me as well, hopefully. Yeah.
We're in conversation with Keke Maketa. He is our Friday wind down guest. So many different challenges, I think, come with being an artist, especially a younger artist, and we hear them share a lot of these experiences all the time. Do you find that you are, and by entertained, I mean you're given an audience when you say, I know you've sent this beat. I know it's a really nice upbeat track, but I'm not in a good space to actually do something happy right now. Do you find that, there's an understanding that says, okay, fine, we'll give you the next 2 weeks to work on your emotions, to work on your joy, to build up your joy? Or is it a case of, Keke, you either want to be an artist or you don't, so please save your tears for later.
For later.
Right now, we need this. There are deadlines to meet.
No, fortunately, I haven't experienced that with my team, of which I'm grateful. Because we take time to do stuff. We want to give quality music to our audience or to our supporters. I haven't experienced that. Maybe I will experience that in the future, but I'm prepared. I'm prepared because now I've been doing this for quite some time, and the foundation is laid. So whatever that comes, I'm ready to tackle.
When we continue on the Friday wind down, I'll also ask Keke about the songwriting process. A lot of the music he's putting together, he also writes himself. And what does that take? This is the Friday wind down.
Join us on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on S3. As being alone this festive season is what clinical psychologist Lee Mbata is here to help us with. Gynecologist Sherry Lee Franks has tips to keep your digestive and urinary tract healthy. Plus, get genius gifting and fashion ideas on Afternoon Express Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Repeat Sundays at 8:30 a.m. only on S3.
Massive evening to walk on the purple carpet has arrived. The queens of the beautiful game, coaches and administrators are recognized for their excellence on and off the pitch, celebrating the sheroes of football. Experience the Hollywood Bet Super League Awards this Saturday, 9 December at 8 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4 and SABC 1. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
Hi, Kathy. Lovely music from Keke. I just wanted to make a comment because when he was speaking about moving in from gospel and so forth, there seemed to have been a feeling that in gospel setup or where he was initially, it didn't give him freedom. He was saying he had the freedom when he moved to be able to do secular music. I don't want to put him on the spot, but it looks like that's what it is. There is no freedom in gospel music if you are only on gospel until you move into the other music as well. Is that right?
Keke?
Well, to answer your question, when I was talking about the freedom, I was talking about like I've been doing gospel all my life, and I thought that is the only thing I can do. Only to find out as I grow into the music industry that no, man, I can also do something else. That's where I actually got the freedom. Yeah.
Is that because in a country like South Africa, when we talk about gospel music, it does have a particular sound.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a successful career, you can't stray too far from the sound that those that buy the music and support the genre, want to hear. Otherwise, you won't sell records.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure now. The last time when I checked at the stats, Amapiano is the best-selling genre at the moment in South Africa. It used to be gospel.
Yes.
Gospel, when you talk about gospel, is the best-selling music in South Africa. But things have changed. Gospel is there as well as the second. But when I talk about, like, as the guy said that, what do you mean when you say you didn't get the freedom? I meant that the gospel space, I thought that was the bondage for me. That's the only space the way I can actually, as an artist, do something that I want to do. But when I actually realized and I exposed myself into another space, which is a secular music, dance music, and I got the freedom, like, wow.
Okay.
I can do this. I can be featured to do gospel, but I can also send the same message in a different beat.
I want us to talk about Tembalami. It's currently doing very well. I said all over TikTok.
Yeah.
People are really, really enjoying it. And I mean, even the views that you have on YouTube of the song are very, very high.
Tembalami is part of the top 10 on Ukhozi FM for Song of the Year.
Oh, congratulations.
Iyohlukanisa unyaka. So, yes, please, I'm asking the listeners back at home to vote for the song Ingoma D to 33665. Each SMS is only 150. Free SMSs do not apply.
And I know how people scratch each other for that song of the year. Even after it's announced, there's fights.
Yeah.
No, this one didn't deserve it.
Exactly.
No, it didn't deserve it. Okay, so Tembalami is up in the running for Song of the Year on Ukhozi FM. It's our sister station.
Exactly.
So no problem mentioning it on SAFM.
Yes.
So please support Keke. He wants your support. Go and vote Ngoma D. You said
Ingoma D. To 33665.
Okay, so hopefully people will come through. In fact, speaking of those that need to support you from your hometown especially, let me go to Aliwal North. Mfanelo Titus, good morning.
Good morning, Cathy.
Hi.
Am I audible?
You are audible, you're on the radio. Gege can also hear you. He's also ready to speak to you.
Wow, good morning, Keke. It's Mfanelo Titus. I'm the local GP. Maybe you might actually know.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that is my GP from a very, very young age. Good to see. After I don't know how many years. Yeah, no.
Look, it's so inspiring to hear you on radio, and I just called to say big ups to you, man.
Thank you so much.
I'm just saying ding and I can ding. to you. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Doc.
And I heard you say that one of your songs, Itembalami, is going to be one of the songs at Kozi FM.
It is actually on the top 10.
Okay.
It must be.
I will actually have to vote for that song to be the song of the year.
As much as you can.
Yeah. It's just to say big ups to you, my brother.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much, Doc. Ndiyabulela.
Yeah. No, thanks, Cathy. It's encouraging to hear young people really, moving and doing it for themselves. It's very encouraging.
So all you need to do now, Mfanele, is to make sure that you're playing it as at your surgery as well, so that every time patients are coming in and out, you can say, I used to treat him. When he had coughs, they would bring him here to me. Look at the good work of my hands. Look at the good work of my hands.
Yeah.
All right.
No, definitely we'll promote it. You are making us proud, Keke.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you so much. Ndiyabulela kakhulu.
Thank you so much for the call. What a lovely call from out in Aliwal North. That is Mfanelo Titus. Do you keep a close relationship with home, with where you come from?
Yes, I do. But sometimes it's a challenge, to be recognized back at home. It's a challenge, I think, for every artist. Yes, but I do keep in touch.
Let's talk about some of the current projects and events you're working on, and what it is that people can do to support you even more beyond just streaming your music, maybe voting for you to strengthen your running in the Song of the Year?
Yeah, at the moment I am busy with a project. It will come, I don't know when, but we are working on it with Dr. Moruti. Yes, and people, please book us, or book me rather. Yes, book us with the guys that I worked with on Tembalami, because it's three of us, Mluves, Slu, and that's me. To get the booking details on my social media, which is KK_KCM, or on Divine Rhythm Productions page, both Facebook and Instagram.
What gives you hope about the future, Gege, and in particular, the future of the music industry in this country?
What gives me hope is that there is technology is actually making it easier for us, because I've realized that my music is actually reaching places that I've never been. That gives me hope, and that is actually telling me that one day I'll be stepping on those grounds. People will be seeing me in person and performing for them. And there is hope for the, the attention at the moment is on South African sound. The world is looking at South Africa, and that it shows, Guti, there is progress. We are going somewhere in terms of music and in terms of business.
The one thing that you are dreaming for yourself going into 2024?
My dreams is to work with Black Coffee, with Sun L, with Maporisa, like the big guns. And not just to be an artist, but to also be a businessman in music, in the entertainment space.
Well, I'm sure you'll be able to get to most, if not all, and surpass even your own expectations. You are incredibly talented, and such a pleasure having you in studio. What a warm aura and an energy you've brought to the studio on this Friday afternoon. So we're going to close off the show with Ugupi. Tell us a little bit about this song and what you were thinking of when you wrote down the lyrics.
Ugupi is about, it talks about me. I was writing about me. That where is my significant partner? That, okay, I am here. Where are you? I am looking for you, Ugupi.
Keke is looking for you, Ugupi. If you want to know where he is still at SAFM, Auckland Park Studios. Henley Road, Johannesburg. So he's ready to be found by you. If you are the one he is talking about, please, I've sent you his location. You can come and make sure you locate him for yourself. All right. On that note, thank you all for tuning into the Friday Wind Down. It's always a pleasure being in conversation with you. The Talking Point back with you again bright and early Monday morning between 9 and midday. I'm going to leave you with Ugupi by Gege Maketa. Gege, it's been such a pleasure. Do you want to intro the song?
Yes.
Go for it.
Inhliziyo yami ikhalela wena nsuku zonke bambo lwami ingabe kuphi na
Lisa, hope you're well. Listen, I went to this car heaven place We Buy Cars with Henriette to sell the caravans and the jet skis she must now got from the divorce because she's never going onto the Vaal River again, she says. So We Buy Cars bought it from her for a great price. Nobody, you should tell your husband to sell all of those project cars and take you to the Maldives. Or just give them a call because they come to your house and then they buy your car somewhere so on the spot where they're so gerieflik.
We Buy Cars, the best place to sell your car by far.
Eintracht Frankfurt plans to have things their way when they clash with the giants of German football Bayern München. They believe a win is more exciting on home ground, while the Bavarians are gunning for strictly 3 points to settle at the top of the table. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch the superb contest between Eintracht Frankfurt and Bayern München on Saturday 9 December at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Well, it's 12 o'clock on Friday, the 8th of December 2023. A very warm welcome to Updated Noon here on SAFM. Leading the conversation, I'm Sakina Kamwendo. Well, coming up in the next hour...
Corruption, on the other hand, is based on selfishness and a lack of concern for the majority that one leads.
Deputy President Paul Mashatile describes corruption as a selfish act, and another situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where over 350 miners have remained underground. Coming up in sport...
Big Cape Derby happening in the Premiership later on today, and the Blue Bulls, we'll hear from them ahead of their new European competition that they are in. It's all very confusing. I'll explain it to you later.
Again. All right. John Gericke coming up with those details. And please share your views with us. 41391 is the SMS line number, charged at R1.50 per SMS. You can also tweet us at Updated Noon using the hashtag Updated Noon, and also just an indication that we will be migrating, moving our X account to at SAFM CAFF, as in current affairs, and we will be moving to at SABC News _radio. We'll bring you up to speed with all of that on our social media accounts. But these and more stories coming up on this Friday edition of Updated Noon. First, though, the latest news with Eva Chipa.
SABC News, independent and impartial.
Thanks, Sakina. Top stories at 12. Mashatile calls for ethical professionals in the fight against corruption, and over 300 mine workers remain underground at Gold One mine. Good afternoon, I'm Eva Chipa. The Deputy President, Paul Mashatile, says creating an ethical public service with honest professionals will help government in its fight against corruption. He was speaking at the commemoration of the International Day of Anti-Corruption at UNISA in Pretoria. The university, the Public Service Commission and the Office of the United Nations in South Africa hosted the one-day gathering. Mashatile says it's important for government to continue in its fight against corruption. In other news, a situation is unfolding at the Gold One mine in Springs, east of Johannesburg, where the National Union of Mine Workers says 350 mine workers have remained underground. The union, however, says they cannot confirm if this is a sit-in or a hostage situation. In October, about 500 workers remained underground for days, with conflicting reports from the NUM claiming that its rival union, AMCU, has taken its members hostage. AMCU insists that this is a sit-in over workers' demands. Livuani Mamburu is the NUM's national spokesperson.
The NUM can confirm that there is a situation that is currently unfolding at Gold One that involves more than 350 mine workers underground. So we don't know if it is a sit-in or a hostage that is happening. That started there last night during the night shift. But we are also reliably informed that 2 mine workers managed to escape last night.
2 men have been arrested for dealing in drugs in Cape Town. The Metro Police spokesperson, Ruth Solomons, says officers were conducting patrols in the area when they received a tip-off about a motorist selling drugs from his vehicle.
The officers decided to search the plastic bag and found 802 Mandrax tablets. A further search revealed 3 packets of tic, 1 unit of heroin, and 14 packets of cocaine in the driver's side compartment, and more than 5,000 rand in cash in the boot. The drugs have an estimated street value of 50,000 rand.
Hemp growers permit holders in KZN are due to receive training in Verulam, north of Durban today. Their aim is to develop their skills in growing cannabis. This comes after more than 600 people received hemp growing permits at an expo in Bergville recently. The Provincial Agriculture Department has signed an agreement with a pharmaceutical company which will conduct the training. And lastly, moving further afield, the mandate ends today for an East African regional force that was deployed to the Democratic Republic of Congo last year. The soldiers were sent to the east of the country to help retake areas seized by the M23 rebel group. The BBC's Emery Gumeno has more.
Initially, it had some success. The soldier took over areas that the M23 rebels had agreed to withdraw from. But when the Congolese government then refused any kind of dialogue with the M23, the whole peace plan broke down. With no prospect of a political solution to the conflict, the M23 fighters refused to give up their weapons. Some Kenyan soldiers have already flown home and fighting has resumed. Yet another attempt to end decades of violence in eastern Congo has failed.
Recapping the top story for this hour, the Deputy President Paul Mohlahlana says creating an ethical public service with honest professionals would help government in its fight against corruption. I'll be back at the bottom of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipa.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m. Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to Update at Noon. It is 6 minutes after 12. And, of course, Eva Chipa will be back with headlines at 12:30. Now, some of the stories we're following up on this afternoon, starting with the mines. The National Union of Mine Workers says that it will meet with management at the Bakubung Platinum Mine in the Northwest Province today. This after some 250 workers continued a sit-in underground over wage and retrenchment issues. So the disgruntled mine workers, we understand, are refusing to resurface until their demands are met. And among those demands, they want the general manager to be sacked. So we'll follow up with Sasha Naidu, who's gone to the Northwest to follow up on that story. But closer here to home is, of course, the situation that is currently unfolding, as we understand this, at the Gold One mine yet again. And this time we're told there may be at around 400 workers who have not resurfaced at the 110 shaft of that Gold One mine in Springs. So it's unclear at this stage whether it is yet another sit-in. Is it a protest? We're not too sure. So we'll follow up in a short while just to see if we can get any clarity on that situation. And then traditional leaders in Matatiele, and this is an interesting one, they are concerned at this time about the invasion of land, and they are alleging that this has been done by Basotho and Basotho nationals, and bogus traditional leaders are alleged to have been selling the land to the Basotho. And meanwhile, the Sterkspruit area at the Telebridge border, they're saying that there young men are aiding Basotho women to cross the river, and they are allegedly sexually abusing these women if payment is not made or met. And some of the victims are allegedly then dumped in the middle of the river if they are not willing to pay. So quite an unsavory situation alleged to be unfolding there. SAMRO, that's the Southern African Music Rights Organization, they are now going to investigate claims of irregular royalty claims. Board members have decided to institute a forensic commission to investigate this matter, and it's conducted to understand the full extent of the problem, and also confirming whether indeed these fraudulent claims for royalties were made, and whether the people who made them were actually the rightful owners of these royalties. And police in Polokwane say that they are investigating drivers of some minibus taxis who actually bear Limpopo or Gauteng registration plates, but that they've intercepted some of these minibus taxis transporting about 133 suspected victims of human trafficking from Zimbabwe. So as you would see, since last weekend, this story seems to have gained all sorts of momentum in various guises. So those are some of the stories. It's a Friday. We'll have an update from the coalface as well, but many other stories that we're trying to follow up as well.
Brighton and Hove Albion are going all out to brighten their clash against Burnley FC with maximum points.
At Digmer again, that was a masterpiece.
However, Burnley FC will display a sense of urgency to move up from the relegation zone.
Ariola has scored! Down the middle! Burnley lead! Shane Rodriguez!
Who will have a great day on the field of play? The Seagulls or the Clarets? This is the Premier League. Catch the exciting clash between Brighton and Hove Albion and Burnley FC on Saturday, 9 December at 4 p.m. live on S3. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag we love it here. Brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Now, we understand at least 400 mine workers are reported to have not resurfaced at one of the shafts at the Gold One mine in Springs. It remains unclear at this stage whether this is another sit-in protest by the workers or whether it's another alleged hostage situation. The Gold One mine has been marred in recent weeks by situations whereby mine workers want AMCU to be recognized as the official union at the mine alongside the National Union of Mine Workers. But for the latest year and also to try and gain some clarity, we joined on the line by the National Union of Mine Workers Regional Secretary Victor Ngwane. Mr. Ngwane, thanks for your time. Welcome to Updated Noon.
Hello, Sakina. How are you? It's the regional organizer.
Regional organizer. Thank you so much for that. Yes. Mr. Ngwane, can you confirm for us that there is an unfolding situation as we speak at the Gold One mine in Springs involving people remaining underground?
Yes, we can confirm that as from 2 a.m. in the morning. Last night, shift went underground as normal. But the first shift was supposed to surface at 2 o'clock. It never happened until this moment.
Are you able to give us any sort of insight as to what might be the reason for this particular situation? Because the last time we were told there was a hostage situation. Do you have any idea of what's happening this time around?
No, this time around is certainly not about organizational rights. It's about the disciplinary processes that are unfolding there. Remember, from the first hostage situation, there are those employees who pleaded guilty for holding people hostage or doing a sit-in. So yesterday, there were dismissals issued. Then during the day, we did receive some threats that, these groupings are now fighting amongst themselves, intimidating those who are remaining inside to say they must also fight for them and make sure that these dismissals are removed and they all called back to come and work. So it's basically about the ongoing disciplinary processes now.
How many dismissal orders were issued yesterday, Mr. Ngwane? Do you know?
I can't confirm, but the information from the HR said yesterday it was about 50, and there might be more.
So with regard to any sort of violence marring this particular protest, we've heard some unconfirmed reports that there might have been some shooting that has taken place. Are you aware of that?
No, the only shooting that has taken place, we're not sure of what was the motive behind. It's of the investigating officer of that particular mine, Gold One. He was unfortunately shot and he ultimately died on the scene. He was one of those people who were held hostage underground. So he was also a key witness in these cases. So we're not sure now. We can't really say it is linked to the hostage because he was dealing with other cases in the mine. So we are not in a position to say what really transpired, what was the motive behind the shooting.
And then, Mr. Ngwane, as far as, the situation from the previous protagonist situation concluded, what does the process mean for what was going on previously, where there was a call to recognize AMCU as the majority union at the mine? Has that been done, or is that process still ongoing?
The process is ongoing. Remember, when we realized that the situation was becoming a threat to people's lives and to job security, NUM took a decision to terminate the close shop agreement. And I think it was around the 14th of November. Now, in terms of the contract itself, when you terminate, there's a 30 days notice. It is supposed to terminate, it will terminate on the 14th of December. Then from the 14th of December, any employee of Gold One can join any union of their choice. So be it Patau, NUMSA, AMCO, and any other union, they can join any union of their choice. And those top orders will be processed upon completion of the Section 21 process. But as we speak, that process has not kickstarted until the complete termination of the close shop. The termination will be completed on the 14th of December.
And just a final question, Mr. Ngwane, with regard to the numbers of those who are currently underground. We understand it could be around 400 mine workers. Are you able to confirm the number for us?
At this moment, because we will only be meeting the management at 1 o'clock, the information that we are having is that around 400. Because initially we were told that it was 393, but when we arrived at the mine, we were told that the number might be above 400. So we cannot confirm the exact numbers now until we have met with the mine management.
Mr. Ngwane, thanks so much for your time. We'll leave it there. That's the National Union of Mine Workers Regional Secretary, Victor Ngwane. And from the side of AMCU, we are joined on the line now by Christopher Janse van Rensburg, who I believe he's not there yet, Head of Organizational Development for the Association of Mine Workers and Construction Union, AMCU. We certainly will try to line him up. That's Christopher Janse van Rensburg. And just to find out from their side what they believe the latest developments to be about. You heard there from NUM that it seems as though it has to do with what's been happening with the dismissals and some workers being dismissed by the mine and obviously not taking very kindly to that. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back to these stories.
Update at noon with Sakina Kamwendo, midday to 1 p.m.
Eintracht Frankfurt plans to have things their way when they clash with the giants of German football Bayern München. They believe a win is more exciting on home ground, while the Bavarians are gunning for strictly 3 points to settle at the top of the table. This is the Bundesliga, football as it's meant to be. Catch the superb contest between Eintracht Frankfurt and Bayern München on Saturday 9 December at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. # We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Right, we're going to move away from that story, and as soon as we do get through to Christo Janse van Rensburg of AMCU, we'll try and get their side of the story and also touch base with Sasha Naidu, who's in the Northwest Province at the Bakubung Platinum Mine, where we understand there's another sit-in there by NUM members, and we'll try and touch base with him on that as well. But in the meantime, let's move you to Mpumalanga, where police launched a manhunt for 3 women who allegedly gang-raped a 28-year-old man in Kabokweni near White River. Now, the victim, who is gay, has opened a case of rape against the women, of whom 2 are known to him. The victim says that he was called by the 2 women who requested assistance to move a bed, and upon entering the bedroom, the 3rd woman emerged from behind the door. The police reported that the 3 women overpowered the victim and allegedly gang-raped him until the next morning. Mutsibi Wamunareng reports.
The 28-year-old victim, Kamogelo Mukwena, not his real name, indicates that he met the 2 suspects known to him for the first time last week Friday during a traditional event in Kabokweni. He says they had fun and later went to a local tavern after the traditional ceremony. Mukwena claimed that on Monday the 2 women called him looking for assistance to move a bed. He alleges that upon entering the house, a 3rd suspect emerged from behind the door. Mukwena describing the ordeal.
I go inside the room. After that, I don't see is the other person behind the door. I see the person who sit down. I asked him, why you don't help with this guy? Because he need help. Yeah, and they push me. I fall on the bed. After that, that girl come and sit top of my chest. And then other girl pull my trouser. I was shocked and my heart is broken. I don't know. Even now, I hate myself. I don't feel it's like me. Yes. I want to see that person who must be arrested because he abused me.
The police reports the 3 women overpowered the victim and allegedly gang raped him until the next morning. Mpumalanga police spokesperson Donald Mdluli.
There is a case opened by a 28-year-old male who alleges that he was gang raped by 3 women. The incident was actually reported at the police, and according to that information, it occurred, according to the allegations, on Monday, 4 December around 7 p.m. The case is still on and the investigation is continuing. However, no one has been arrested.
Mdluli says this is not the first time the victim reports a similar case.
What we can mention is that we also discovered that a similar case was opened by the very same complainant in September at Wheatbank. He will also come and also assist because what we found to be awkward was with regard to the mentioning of the names of the suspects, which are exactly the same with the ones at Wheatbank.
Meanwhile, Greater Rape Interventions Programs Farida Mashaba says they have a trend emerging of cases of sexual assaults against men.
Yes, there are cases whereby the perpetrator is a female. We are seeing a lot of trends like that in the nowadays. Even though it is rare, they hardly report because they are afraid of being discriminated and judged. So yeah, we are seeing those cases.
The police says a case docket will be referred to the Director of Public Prosecution to take a decision regarding the 2 cases. Mutsibi wa Monareng, Kapogweni, near White River.
Well, let's hear your thoughts on this particular matter. And we will come back to that mining story. I understand we cannot get hold of, or rather not that we can't get hold of them, but AMCU are unable to speak to us at the moment. But they did give us a little statement that I will read to you in a little while. But before that, to Limpopo, where the provincial police have intercepted minibus taxis carrying over 100 undocumented foreign nationals from Zimbabwe heading to Polokwane. Now, the vehicles were found to be overloaded with 73 underage children, women and males. And last week, the Border Management Authority announced that it had intercepted 42 buses carrying unaccompanied children from Zimbabwe at the Beitbridge border post in Musina. So to get more on this story, we joined on the line by Limpopo Provincial Police spokesperson, Brigadier Mohlahlana Mashaba. Brigadier Mashaba, thanks for your time. Welcome to Updated Noon. Apologies. And we believe Brigadier is on the line there. Okay, seems he has connected again. Brigadier, good afternoon. Brigadier Mashaba?
Good afternoon, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you this afternoon?
We are all good. We try.
Brigadier Mashaba, just with regard to the apprehension of suspects and the interception of minibus taxis carrying undocumented foreign nationals from Zimbabwe, if you can just let us know about the provincial tracking team and how you managed to intercept these vehicles.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you once again for the opportunity. Our Limpopo tracking team, provincial tracking team, intercepted a convoy of motor vehicles which were traveling along the N1 road towards Gauteng. So as they were heading to Polokwane, our team intercepted over 100 undocumented foreign nationals. This incident allegedly took place yesterday at around 6:30 in the afternoon. But upon intercepting the vehicle, the tracking team tactically approached the guys, and upon searching them, they found that over 133 undocumented children, women included, and males included, were there being transported by these motor vehicles. But upon the minibus taxis that were there were also two double cabs and also a Fortuna, a Toyota Fortuna, which was carrying almost 16 children just under in one car. So you can tell that, issues of road safety was not even taken into account. These drivers were putting the passengers also at risk. So there are so many elements that we continue to see emanating from this incident.
Brigadier Mashaba, with regard to the people, the undocumented people, how many of the 100 and you said 100 and how many? 133?
133. Just very few of them were documented. I can tell you that much. I don't think in those that were there, I don't think out of them we had even 20. They were even less. Those that were documented. But we continue to process them. We got the relevant authorities and stakeholders to come to the fore to try and assist the Home Affairs as well as the social development. We call them to actually come and process these undocumented foreign nationals. And we must also say again that there is a suspicion of human trafficking in this regard, because most of the children who were there couldn't even tell where they were going, and some, they never had anyone who was actually mending them. Nobody was with them. They just tell you that they are going to Gauteng, and then when we asked the drivers thereof, they said no, they got them somewhere. They were told they must go and drop them somewhere in Gauteng. They don't even know the people who gave them these children.
So how many of those 133 people were actually children, Brigadier?
The number of children, I'll give you the figures now. 73 underage children. Those were between 6 months and 17 years. Those were children. And the other were 60 adults.
6 months?
60 years, from 6 months to 17 years, the children who were there. And then in terms of the adult, we had 60. Counting.
So of the 6-month-old, for example, was that 6-month-old traveling with the mother?
Yes, some those were with their mothers. But then you try and ask, you can't get, these people are undocumented, you can't even get to a sense of where they are going, because you try and ask to establish the facts, but they can't give you much. And when you go and ask the drivers will tell you that we got them along the way, and then, the details were still sketchy. But we believe that our investigation will get to the bottom of this case, and then we will be able to have something for you.
So, as far as the drivers are concerned, were any of them arrested for transporting these undocumented children?
Yes, by the time I left the station yesterday, they were already detained because even themselves, they cannot give us satisfactory information as to where they got these children from. And then what is surprising, these are South African people. Some of them are South African people. They are driving your registration, your minibuses which have registration bearing the L, which is Limpopo. Some had your Gauteng registration. And then you ask yourself, maybe there's a syndicate that is going on that we need to establish.
So, as things stand right now, how many people precisely were arrested? How many did you take into custody, and how many are in places of safety, Brigadier?
All of them, when I left, all of them were actually detained. But I think the issue of saying how many will be detained and how many will be let free, maybe taken to the places of shelter, it will be determined by the Department of Social Development. And then also Home Affairs will assist us. Once they have done all the processing, they will be able to make a determination as to what needs to happen. We have handed them to them. They were left at the police station, but then the relevant department, like I've indicated, they've been already summoned into the station to actually look at that.
Brigadier, it doesn't seem as though this is a new thing. For all intents and purposes,
it is not.
It seems as though this has been going on for some time, and perhaps we are only now, some of us, starting to, pay attention to it and understand what is going on. But seems as though this has been going on for some time.
It has been going on for some time. If you remember, I think in a month or two ago, we intercepted the same, the same modus operandi happened in Mokhobaskloof, just outside your Muketsi, where our team also intercepted people who were traveling with this, people who were purportedly being, victims of suspected human trafficking. So I think it's a common occurrence or a phenomenon that we need to look into and try and nip it in the bud.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much, Brigadier. And that was Brigadier Mashaba speaking to us. He's with the Limpopo Provincial Police Department.
Thanks, Sakina. Your news making headlines. Labour Union NUMSA says it's still trying to verify if any of its members are being held against their will at the Bakubong Platinum Mine in the northwest. This as more than 200 mine workers have been staging a sit-in underground since Wednesday morning. In other news, the Deputy President Paul Mashatile says creating an ethical public service with honest professionals would help government in its fight against corruption. And lastly, the SACP General Secretary Solima Bail says it's painful to see someone who has given all for the liberation of South Africa leave the ANC. I have more on these and other stories at the top of the hour. For SFM News, I'm Eva Chipab.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And it's a Friday, and we welcome Isak Odendaal. He's investment strategist at Old Mutual Wealth. Good afternoon, Isak.
Hi, good afternoon. So the rand trading at 1887 against the dollar, kind of still hugging close to that 19 to the dollar mark that it's really been for the last couple of months. JSE all share at the moment 74,580 points. Markets are waiting for data from the US later this afternoon. That'll give us a picture of how the employment situation is in the US, and that obviously feeds into the interest rate outlook ultimately, and that's why it's such an important indicator for financial markets. Big story this week in South Africa, GDP for the third quarter was negative, minus 0.2% quarter on quarter. That was disappointing relative to expectations. Obviously, the economy is still battling load shedding, consumers battling high inflation. And more recently, we've seen kind of the logistics sector really, really struggling. And so the outlook for economic growth in South Africa remains muted until we make better progress with solving the logistics crisis and also the electricity crisis. There's one little bit of good news, because I always try and leave you with some good news, and that's that the oil price is trading at $74 a barrel, which is quite a bit lower than recent weeks, where it was trading above $80. So that should ultimately feed into lower petrol prices for South Africans, probably in next month as they come home from their holidays. So, happy weekend to everyone.
Well, thanks, Isak. We certainly appreciate you always trying to leave us on a positive note. Isak Odendaal is investment strategist at Old Mutual Wealth.
This is SAFM Sport with John Gericka.
Hello, John.
Friday.
Hey, yes.
Friday.
Best day of the week.
Yeah, sports guys, love it. Love it. Big premiership match coming up today. Stellenbosch against Cape Town City. It's at 7:30, local derby. City defender Kino. Wait, before I play the soundbite of Kino Cupido, I want you to identify how we know that this soundbite of City defender Keanu Cupido was recorded in the Cape.
And we know Stellenbosch are in high spirits now. They're into a cup final now, so they have more confidence. But it's Cape Town City, I think we're ready for the battle. It's not an easy trip going to Stellenbosch. You know, it's going to be a physical game, a hard game, a hard running game. But we're ready for it. And I think each and everyone showed it throughout those games that we're ready for anything that comes our way. And we're up for a challenge.
Bit of a breeze in the Cape.
A bit of a breeze, you say. And you know, Keanu Cupido is from Eldos.
Yeah, it's probably it's exactly. Yeah, I was thinking because I got all the tricks and things to be able to get rid of the sound, but I thought no. Let's play it.
It
like
is
Cape
what it
Town.
is.
Yeah. Some sad news coming out of Soweto. Kaizer Chiefs have stripped veteran goalkeeper Tumelo Nkune of the club captaincy and ordered him to stay away from the first team to seek professional help for his reported issues with alcohol. 36-year-old shot stopper was recently charged by the club after he reportedly arrived at training under the influence of alcohol. Yesterday, Chiefs finally announced their sanctions against the long-serving former Bafana player after they concluded disciplinary proceedings. In Europe, across the continent today, CAF Champions League Group D sees Al Ahly against Belouizdad at 6 o'clock and Medina against Young Africans. And in Group C, Etoile Sahel takes on Al Hilal Omdurman of Sudan, who starts at 9 o'clock. European Rugby Championship begins for this season. Connacht against Bordeaux Eagles at 10. Glasgow Warriors against Northampton Saints at the same time. Tomorrow, the Bulls are the favourites to beat Owen Farrell's Saracens at Loftus, but Bulls loose forward Marco van Staden knows that his side needs to lift the game.
No, I think it's obviously a massive game. I think if you look at the England international that's playing for them, and if you look at their record in the past, I think they've always been sticking out in playing if the finals round comes with the Premiership and as well with the Investec Champions Cup. I think they're one of the best teams, so it's obviously you need to prepare well and you're going to play test match rugby. And I think if you want to measure yourself as the best players and teams to measure yourself against.
And the Challenge Club Clermont takes on Edinburgh at 10. In cricket, Bangladesh Women's Tour of South Africa continues today. Third T20 is going to be played in Kimberley. Bangladesh and South African women start at 6 o'clock this evening. Test match on the go. Bad light has stopped play in the third session of day 3 of the second test between Bangladesh and New Zealand. Low scoring affair. New Zealand all out for 180. In reply, Bangladesh 38 for 2 in the second over. They lead by 30 runs. And fascinating Alfred Dunhill Championship. Early on day 2, it's being led by Paul Waring and Christo Lamprecht. They are both in the clubhouse on 8 under par. Lamprecht is one of 3 amateurs in the field. Sam Burstow and Kyle Barker are a stroke back on 7 under, also in the clubhouse already. But South African, he's South African, but he's based in England at the moment. Robin Williams is yet to tee off and is just 1 stroke off the lead. So things will change this afternoon. Williams is originally from Stellenbosch. He plays out of England now. He's on a good trajectory over the last few tournaments and he's enjoying his weekend so far on one of the best golf courses in the world.
The last kind of 6-7 tournaments on the Sunshine Tour with one win gave me massive confidence coming into these Coast Sanctions to know that, look, you've got the game to win out there and compete. It's just now just try to do the same thing as you can, but obviously the courses are conditioned and a little bit more penalising than we play on the Sunshine Tour, so it's just about adapting and learning. But this is all a learning curve for me, trying to see what my game needs in order to make cuts and compete with these guys.
And the next time you question your career as you go on holiday, Masters champion John Rahm has confirmed he'll be joining the Saudi-backed Live Golf Tour, becoming arguably Live Golf's most significant signing in this short history. The world number 3's decision to leave the PGA Tour for the Saudi-funded circuit represents a huge U-turn. He didn't want to go. Mm-hmm. All right, how much is the deal worth, you ask? Ask me.
How much is it worth?
How much is it worth? 10.5 billion rand, 566.4 million American dollars.
As you and I do some soul searching again about where we went wrong.
He says he can't comment on the figure. That was private business. He says, though, money he was offered was great, but he maintains he doesn't play golf for the money.
Yeah, right. That's why you're leaving the PGA. You see, it's this whole thing of all these guys who are spewing bile. at
Yes.
the guys went to live, suddenly I think they are regretting their decision not to go.
One of our producers says if it's not about the money, then he must play for free.
Exactly.
Go do it for free.
Yeah,
Let's see
you
what
can even
happens.
come and play here on the Sunshine
Yeah,
Tour.
come play the Sunshine Tour. We'll pay you 20,000
for
rand
sure.
and see what
Or
you
we
think.
won't pay you. Do it for charity. Yeah.
Love it. How much? 10.5 billion rand.
And we're not doing it for the money.
No, we're not. Definitely.
All right, Chandra.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Get ready for an adventure of a lifetime with SABC TV Licenses Ultimate Competition. Feel the pulse-pounding excitement of a Bundesliga match live on an all-expenses-paid journey you'll never forget. Or embrace the rhythm of your dreams at the Coachella Music Festival. The choice is yours. A football fan's paradise or a music lover's haven. Simply pay your TV license, then head to www.winnerholidaywithsabctvlicenses.co.za for a chance to win big. And don't forget, there are incredible weekly prizes up for grabs too. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
Polokwane City want to test if Kaizer Chiefs can handle the Limpopo heat. Their plan is to get a comfortable position in the top half. But the Kosi Nation is in a good mood to collect maximum points away from home. Rise and Shine versus Rise Kosi Rise. This is the DSTV Premiership. Polokwane City versus Kaizer Chiefs on Saturday, 9 December at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC1 and SABC radio stations. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Hashtag We Love It Here. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Update at noon, midday to 1 p.m.
All right, John, of course, back on your radio this weekend with more sport, but let's listen to some of your voice notes.
Sakina, hi, I wore this JCK counter from Sina. Says Sakina, that taba ya human trafficking, ya bana, ya kids, it's daily process. Look today, Kopulukwani, what happened, or was it today or yesterday? Those taxis ferrying those kids. What is happening? And that minister of Zimbabwe, you see, or he was just telling lies, defending lies. Let me rest my case for now. Wat gaan aan, man? Wat gaan aan met ons South Africa? Nieuwe South Africa. The country is going down to dogs, man. Let me rest my case for now. Jesse K. Counter from Sina.
Good afternoon, this is SK. This is Sonny Sabandur. I think this guy who says he was gang raped, I think he is telling the truth. It's just that, like, maybe the police, they don't believe him. Maybe they should do the medical, like, tests to prove, like, whatever that he says, like, happened. Yeah, maybe now they are taking advantage, so they keep on doing it, knowing very well that the police won't do anything for. Maybe they won't believe him. They should do medical tests. Thanks. Bye, SSK. Enjoy your day. Bye.
Good afternoon, Sakina. Let's be fair. 50 years to come, if the government of this country is not going to change and the ANC keeps on trying to become the sweetheart of Africa, the rightful grandchildren of this South Africa will beg money and food from the foreigners, Zimbabweans in particular.
Good afternoon to you, my princess. Good afternoon, Sakina. Good afternoon to your team in studio. Good afternoon to all our SFM listeners this Friday. Great show always, Sakina. 12 up to 1 p.m. Uncle JJ, the truck driver. You see, Sakina, I would like to urge all our neighboring countries, let's apply the passports. Please. It's so sad to hear about Zimbabwean, human trafficking. No. There are Malawians flowing to the country, Mozambique and Lesotho without passport. But please, let us apply the passports. Please. So that we avoid this too talkative, blah, 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 blah. Sakina, enjoy your Friday. Have a great, wonderful weekend.
Well, thanks so much for those voice notes. Tasdim says, Sakina, if the miners are NUMS members, why don't the leadership go underground and meet them instead of selling us this hostage story? And then this one is from Moy Kabekulu, says, okay, Moy doesn't really say anything much, but thank you, Moy. Libra says, this thing of loading undocumented people by taxis and those cars who are are loading big loads from Johannesburg. That thing happens from January to December between Groblersburg and Musina. And Mpetu Koza, Mpetu says, despite this evidence, the Zimbabwean government will still refuse to take responsibility as always. And so the rape victim still hangs out with his perpetrators. And as for the mine story, the mine owners are getting away with good profits and greed. And this is a chance workers deserve better salaries. So those are some of the messages coming through. Zaki Matebula says that minister from Zimbabwe, he said there's no such thing, but for the past 3 days, we see undocumented young children. Why don't Zimbabweans care about why people run away from home? They need to have a dialogue on this particular issue. And thank you, Modise. I see your kind message as well. So we'll leave those there for the time being. If we have more time, we'll come back to it.
Sakina Kamwendo on SAFM.
Now, the Southern African Music Rights Organization, SAMRO, has commissioned a forensic investigation into allegations of irregular royalty claims by some members. The report confirmed that some members are fraudulently claiming royalties that do not belong to them. The investigation revealed weaknesses in SAMRO's internal controls and also recommended remedial measures to mitigate future occurrences. The case has been handed over for investigation to the South African Police Service. And now, to get more on this story, we joined on the line by Chairperson of SAMRO, Nicholas Maweni. Mr. Maweni, thanks for your time. Welcome to Update at Noon.
Hey, good afternoon, and thank you very much, Sakina, for having me.
Mr. Maweni, if you will, if you can please provide us with an overview of some of the key findings and recommendations outlined in this forensic report that you commissioned.
So, well, at first, we, as the board of SAMRO, we picked up that something was a bit odd. That was round about last year, when there was a publisher that tried to claim for undocumented and non-identified work. That's the work that we got money for it, but we still cannot identify who it really belongs to. So we found one publisher that really tried to claim work to the value of about 3.4 million rands. From that, and that was during the 2020-2021 financial year. So immediately after that, of course, things were detected, and as the board, we decided this is a bit odd. We then embarked and commissioned this forensic investigation into this. We then found a company which is Fandutsi Forensic Services. They're obviously very independent, and they do this for many, many other organizations, and they did this for us. So we've then got the report, which was given to us early, mid this year. With some of the findings. Of course, as the board, we interrogated these findings and asked a number of questions. They went back until they were finalized. And what they've picked up there was there were a number of, publishers, a number of members of SAMRO, which are obviously composers, who were really trying to claim work which doesn't belong to them. And even in certain cases, Sakina, where, of course, as I've mentioned, the money wasn't paid, thanks to our diligent staff members who picked some of these. When I said 3.4 million for one, and there was another composer, another couple of 3 million. So the amount is quite staggering. It's not just hundreds, it's millions of rands that people were trying to really get out of SAMRO. Even though some of those were stopped. But many people battle with this case that they still try to misrepresent themselves by fraudulently claiming for things or works that didn't belong to them.
Which is, of course, very worrying, because I see one of the remedial actions that's recommended is to strengthen SAMRO's own internal controls to prevent such occurrences. So where did you identify the weaknesses to be in your own systems?
So we first identify the weaknesses. First, you always start internally. So first, internally, we immediately started to strengthen these weaknesses that we identified. But before that, Sakina, previously, I think around about 2019, the undocumented work was only available to publishers. So all composers had no access to this. So we came in as this board and we said, this is a bit unfair. We want everybody to have this work and to have access to this because there's millions of rands. And our duty is we want people to claim and get it out and so that we can pay the relevant people. And then unfortunately, when you do such, it's clearly going to be subjected to such fraudulent activities, which is what we've gone through. We immediately blocked and stopped. We've then tried to strengthen some of the internal processes in terms of making sure that we implement a very strong case management in certain in these, and also making sure that it is not very easy. Would rather prolong the process and have a number of people that must verify before this is approved, which is why in some of these cases it was detected and money was not eventually paid. But what we're concerned about, because as I said, this is only for 2020, 2021. What we're concerned about is what happened in the past. And which really is one of the recommendations that has also been made by the forensic investigators, that we might need to go back and see how bad is this looting that actually happened within Sambro. Of course, you can imagine it's expensive exercise, Sakina, and we might not have the money to do this. We then